Hello and welcome to Move the Line, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Ryan Noonan back, week 11, here to talk all things NFL, mostly sides of totals, get some thoughts on the future market. Joined here, as always, by Connor Allen. What's going on, my friend?
Not much. Still somehow sick. I feel like I've been sick for a week. I don't know. Both of us have been sick. So I expend all my energy in this and then probably go back to sleep, maybe work a little more, but not at 100% because, it's sixth season, but we'll grind through it. Football season's going well. We're still crushing props and excited to talk some ball today with our guest.
Yeah, joining us this week is first-time guest, but long overdue. Big fan of his work. He is a grinder. It's like overused in the space a little bit. And, everyone, I'm not saying people don't work hard, but like this gentleman absolutely grinds, always brings energy at a contagious level. You can find his work at The Athletic. You can find his Substack, which is very much worth your time and money, and read a newsletter that he writes with the team over at Fantasy Life, friends of ours as well. It is John Legeza. You can find him on Twitter at John Legeza. John, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Man, I'm blushing. Thank you so much. This is so cool. I think you guys know, this is a check off the bucket list for me. You guys quite literally are one of the gold standards in this industry. It's an honor, but I'm ready to chop it up, right? I let you know, we don't get ready. We stay ready, right? I stay ready, man. You literally, when you're doing it at this level, and I appreciate it, right? It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of hard work. You just can't afford to take your eye off it. We'll do that like after the Super Bowl. I'll just completely unplug. You guys know the deal. It's moving so fast. It's such a, dynamic league. Games every other day. Then the main slate Sunday. Injuries, practice reports. The way we're getting lied to about those injury reports, you can't afford to get whipsawed. I'm really nose to the grindstone 24/7. So I do appreciate that, Ryan.
Yeah, I talking to John, we get people look behind the curtain, pre-show. I'm like, hey, I'm going to give you a heads up, some of the games we're going to talk about, maybe some topics we'll talk about. And his response was, I don't have to get ready. I stay ready. I'm like, it's awesome. Absolutely love it. It's true. It is true. It comes across in the work that you do. So you never take the foot off the gas in the NFL side because football ends, we jump into the draft. All of a sudden, the way that the NFL lays out the schedule, like there is no offseason in football. So you have to kind of stay ready here. So we're going to get to some of those games here on the week 11 slate. We'll talk a little bit of futures at the top as well. Before you do, want to be a pal, take a second, review the show. You can find us, Move the Line, on 444 Bets YouTube channel. You can find Move the Line wherever you listen to podcasts. Come back. There's 2 episodes each week. This is the Wednesday show, more sides, totals, overarching thoughts in the NFL. Friday is prop drop show. Myself, Connor, John Hyslop, 3 p.m. Eastern. Again, same podcast feed, same YouTube channel. Get the betting sub. Great time to do so. 444.com/plans. Get you access to everything that we do at 444. Lots of different ways to do it. You can find more information in the show notes through partners with Rebet. Lots of different ways. You have questions specifically, let us know. But you want to get in that Discord. You want all the official plays. You want Connor's unders. Just absolutely killing it with unders this year. I know it pains him anytime he pushes out an over. And when he pushes out an over, you got to be like, holy shit, like Connor really likes this play because it doesn't happen very often. I think those are probably even hitting at a higher rate this year too. You want access to those. Those are in the Discord. Tackles, sacks. We're killing it with a Chop Robinson sweat on Monday Night Football that lasted, I don't know, like 3 snaps. Got a plus 360 sack for us. We're crushing sacks as well this year. So get in the Discord, get all those plays, check it out. Let us know if you have any specific questions. All right, John, I want to know more about your weekly process. I know you were grinding. I know you have the Substack. I know you're putting a lot of stuff together that's, in terms of aggregating data. I used to do something like that too. We've kind of automated it on the site, but I think sometimes collecting that data helps you actually know the data too in a different level. Yeah. I've actually stopped. There's some stuff that I know I could probably automate on the projection side that I do for tackles, but I don't want to automate it because I want to see it and transfer it over to my sheet because then I feel like I know it in a different way. So talk to me a little bit about your weekly process, how you handicap games. And again, I know you're doing a million different things. I think the Substack piece is absolutely awesome.
Before I forget, the most important thing that I think you mentioned is very similar to when your kid's doing homework, or if you have kids, you tell them when you write it down, you're more likely to remember it. It is like that. So, and to my specific process, I do something very similar with, right? So I do custom projections. But again, I use a calculator, and I do suggest people use a simulating calculator. It's amazing how many people out there will put a passing yard projection out that the receiving yards don't add up to that, right? They either add up to more or less than that. 300 yards from the passer, but there's 400 yards on the board. It really shouldn't be that way, people. That's not how mean projections work. You're absolutely going to get yourself in trouble. So I like to hand input my team target shares, my catch shares, because I do think the way that we follow it, trajectory and utilization is where you find that edge. Again, you don't want to be inside your computer pulling every little nut and bolt off. That's not how you do it. But I do think you mentioned scraping data, very important. For me, it's that famous Lincoln quote, everybody, you give me 5 hours to chop down the tree, I probably spend the first 4 of them sharpening my axe. So I really take that to heart. We know we're going to be covering an absolute mountain of data, right? It's coming. You're going to be talking about 15 different games. Just accept that. Do all the preparation first. So I find rather than having to look at the same thing 5 different times, I scrape everything all at once. You set your spreadsheet, set a template. This is all things you can do beforehand, right? Again, one of the greater kind of lessons to this, people, is being proactive rather than reactive, right? Anything that you could do ahead of time, get it done, set the table, because again, once this machine starts whirring, it's very hard to catch up. You need to at least stay with the pack. If you fall behind, like the slowest antelope, you're going to get eaten. So for me, the week starts with data scraping. While I'm scraping data, I'm watching games back. Now, again, everyone has a different process. I actually find I learn a lot listening to the actual broadcasts. So as much as I like to watch condensed games, you can't do that. I have found this year, NFL Plus, God bless them, added picture-in-a-picture. I don't know if anyone is hip to this. So you were never able to watch the game on a shrunk screen. Now you can watch the game on a shrunk screen that you could stretch while you're listening to it. So even if you don't have your eyes on the entire game, you could really suck up a game. You're making notes in the meantime. I have found that, along with the daily newsletter, always staying on top of it. So data is set and scraped. Now I always am going to be able to refer to it. You guys are going to throw some fastballs at me in a little bit, and I'm going to crush a few ding-dongs, right? Because it's all set. People talk to me about this and go, how is it physically possible? Because the axe is sharpened, right? And so that's pretty much it. It's stay ready, get all your data first, and then, stay with it. Be open-minded. Listen to sharp people like yourself also. It's very important to do your own work, but there's nothing wrong with listening to, again, you guys mentioned the draft and stuff. When I shift into baseball, I need to outsource my work. This is the very last point, to quality minds. And that's where you guys kind of step in. My off season never ends. Now, hour-wise it does, but I carve out a few hours every day, again, scheduling and templating people, being proactive to stay prepared. And again, you guys have a hand in that. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's hard, man. Like you have to have a process. You have to stay true to the process. I know there are times early in the week when we spend a lot of time on the prop side. I feel like I'm trailing a little bit behind on, say, like a Wednesday when props start to drop, because my process is so defensive heavy Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday morning, that by the time I have to start like compiling my list of like offensive props that I'm looking for, like I sometimes will miss a number if it happens to be an early post or something like that. So but I have to stay true because I have to be absolutely ready. The expectation, I think, for myself and subscribers is that I'm ready on anything that pops defensively as soon as it happens. Right. So I have to be ahead of that. Then we prep for this show and all that stuff. So a lot of the offensive stuff will come Wednesday nights.
Right. Not to cut you off,
a little early. Yeah.
Your work is even more difficult because the defensive side is not covered the same way. You could find generic offensive stats. You could fall over them. They're everywhere. Yeah. Good luck finding them, even the surface stuff. So again, one of the things that you do where you guys are a true value add. And that's one thing. I'm sorry to step in. I'm going to go back to me.
Oh, we're good, buddy. Yeah. I'll let you cook. I love it. I mean, I do defensive stuff till I'm, till I'm dead, till I'm not in the space anymore. I actually think it helps me understand holistically ball better, to be honest. Like I just, I have my hand on the other side a lot more. I think it helps me understand and handicap games too. So Connor, anything to add to that or any takeaways from John's fire that you just spit right there?
I know John was going off. I loved it. No, I personally like leaning on you too for some of the defensive stuff because I understand obviously like basic defensive mechanisms and like what matters and what doesn't. But like, I don't know off the top of my head, tackle per snap rates of the Giants' third string linebacker, like things that, like things that you're able to pull out pretty quickly that I'm like, is this guy good or not? A guy that I've never watched play and you might at least have a good idea. So I think that having that as part of our process has been, fantastic. Not only definitely for me on offensive props, because I've been able to run stuff like, hey, this team, has done really well against the slot. Is that because of this, or is it because of like something else? And you're able to give me a much better answer, more than just like, general stats against something, which, obviously has a lot of noise in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I mean, that's part of this too, is, having to outsource, even internally, to our team, in someone that's, hey, I can maybe had a note for this. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, my two guys over here are on this too. Maybe I need to kind of dial in too, because you can't be everywhere always. So those things help us a ton, which is, again, iron sharpening iron. Sometimes you got to stay isolated, do your own work, but at the same time, as John said there, I think it makes a ton of sense very succinctly, is that, you have to rely on people you trust in the space as well to help solidify a take, or, push you down a rabbit hole that made you, do a little bit more research on your own from there, but allow someone to maybe kind of jumpstart that thought process for you, which is great. I think we all do it. People that are successful all do that too. It's hard to stay isolated. We all work kind of in a silo, but then you kind of have to find ways to bridge out that way to make sure you're making good decisions. All right. Let's talk a little bit about some futures. Connor and I went long on futures. I mean, we're going to continue to do this because I said we're in November. We're on the other side of it for the most part. We're getting to the place where we have a handful of buys still coming up, but for the most part, we're getting in the home stretch where the narratives start to take shape in how some of these markets, especially the award markets, are awarded. And that's kind of the thing. We've talked about that. Is more so than anything, these awards definitely have like reactionary momentum swings in the market. We see it all the time. Let's start with the team first here, John. I'll start with you from like a team level future. Be anything you want to do, a win total, make or miss the playoffs. If you have like a Super Bowl take or anything like that, anything in the team level futures that have caught your eye here in the market right now.
Yeah, I was actually glad you provoked me to look at this. It's, again, you do so much work that people wonder, like, you don't know all the player names, you don't know every market. No, and we all have blind spots. So I actually appreciated looking at it. You know me, I'm allergic to paying juice, so I had to find something with a plus. How about this? How about Cincinnati Bengals to make the playoffs at plus 130? So I think the implied probability is probably a little bit off. So I think we're getting a little bit of value here. Right now, they're tied on the bubble, right? So on the outside looking in, but they're tied with the Colts at 4-6, behind Denver's 5-5, LA 6-3. I think we've seen the trajectory boost from Cincinnati, right? Kind of getting better on offense. Man, the defense, again, I love to back my paisan out of Romo here, bud. They're very much competition-based. I think sometimes that's just the case. Like, Cincinnati, you put them up against a bad offense, there's a good chance they're going to smush them, right? They smushed the Giants. They smushed the Panthers. They smushed the Browns. They smushed the Patriots. But teams like Baltimore are going to run amok against them, right? They're just going to go kind of ballistic. That said, the schedule looking pretty yummy.
It's nice.
Pittsburgh is a little bit tough after the bye, but they go Dallas, Tennessee, Browns, Broncos, and Steelers. Again, Steelers, no cakewalk. But that said, again, I like to bet on good teams. The Bengals can go into any stadium and do work, right? And that's the problem with betting on bad teams, where you're just like, oh my God, like we're cooked. The Bengals are never cooked. They're never cooked. They can go and beat anybody in a close game, again, providing the defense holds up. So given the shape of the asses ahead of them on the ladder, right? I think we're in pretty good shape here. I like the price, and I think another win, and that has a minus in front of it next week.
It's actually mine too. So I will piggyback before I kick it to Connor. I considered to make the playoffs at plus 130. I want to give you a little bit of this. I went over 8.5 wins at plus 120, because all we need to do, we get to 9 wins, and maybe like if someone gets hot in the back end of the playoffs, I'm only giving up 10 cents to make the playoff spot, and I'm still at plus 120, and there's still the out to cash that in case someone else runs a little hotter than the sun in front of them. For all the reasons that you said. I mean, we basically have to go 5-2 down the stretch here, including this Chargers game. So this gives you at least the out that they theoretically have to probably get to 9 wins either way to make the playoffs. And this just covers your butt in case they lose a tiebreaker or something like that too. But yeah, Bengals are definitely my lean.
You win. Yeah, I think you pretty clearly win this one. Listen, I love to argue for my own positions. I'd like to think
we're aligned. It's the same. It's the same.
I like to think they're well researched. But again, you know what? This is another good point. Maybe I'll have a light bulb in the crowd go out there. This is something that I use is very similar. instead of betting against the spread, which we all know is one of the toughest markets literally on earth, I prefer to bet team totals, right? Because the team total doesn't move. It's a set bar. Whereas if the opposition scores, you now have to exceed that team total. And I've even done some work where sometimes if you do the math on what the score would need to be to cover that team total with the spread, that alt under is a better price than the 110 anyway. Again, just some second and third order thinking that goes on with these things. Not that I have to tell you because you just kind of tomahawked on me right there. But that's how we do it, man. It's all good, baby. That's what we do. Listen, iron sharpens iron. I truly believe in that. If you don't have rhinoceros skin, the door is over there. This is not for you. This is not for you. If we're not willing to be wrong and admit it, this is not for you. So I think that's brilliant considering the final team right now has 5 wins. We're only 10 weeks deep. There's no way anyone's getting in with 8. It ain't happening, brother. So you covered your back end for a tiny pittance in implied probability of getting to 9 without making the playoffs. And
just in case,
you Noonan for 3. Good job.
Yeah. So before I got into all the defensive stuff, I used to write a team total article every week. I kind of miss it, to be honest.
Dude, you want to just go do karate in the basement? We could finish this.
Let's do this, man. The whole thing blows over. We should get an apartment together. Connor, what did you want to
activities?
Connor, you want to jump in on any Bengals love, or do you have something to?
It's funny because I was looking at like 2 or 3 of them. I mean, the issue with like these markets is like a lot of them are like minus 2 million, and the other side is like plus 500, and I'm like, I don't know how crazy I want to get. So a different one stood out to me besides the Bengals one. I think Niners to win the division is kind of interesting. That's plus 135 right now. They're only a game back behind the Cardinals. They played the Cardinals in the final week of the season, which gives them, I think, some leverage. And then they're just getting healthier again. Like it's like they were beat up, and obviously losing Ayuk hurts, but they put Juwan Jennings outside. It's kind of like their ex receiver last week. I think he's a pretty good player. And then they have Ricky Pearsall coming in and playing more as well. And I mean, Debo, Pearsall, Kittle, and Juwan Jennings, I think is actually a reasonable supporting cast for Purdy. And then obviously Christian McCaffrey, rounding into full health, played, I think it was 13 to 15 running back carries, I think, last week. So I'm excited about this Niners team going forward. I think they're good, and they have I would say, middling schedule. They obviously have some tough opponents in the Packers, the Bills. But I mean, they still play the Bears, Rams. I mean, Dolphins are beatable. Cardinals, again, I think that they're probably a little bit above 500. I think the Cardinals are in a similar range. So getting plus 130 on them to basically beat the Cardinals, or maybe even just outperform throughout the rest of the season, I think makes sense. It's a team that I just believe is genuinely better than the Cardinals.
Yeah. John, any thoughts on the Niners?
Yeah, Niners are really good. They were tops in net yard differential before returning Christian McCaffrey, who last I heard is pretty good. And, just while I have a second of platform, guys, you got to ignore the Shanahan injury stuff. Listen, I got jerked. I got jerked as a fantasy player on the 101. I got jerked with Debo props on the flu game. I finally got a little bit of comeuppance when they told us Jordan Mason was starting. This is so ridiculous. McCaffrey didn't fly half around the world to do extra marital treatments to come back and practice in full and not get the rock. It's arrows up for the Niners. They're like they are getting very serious right now. Purdy's played great. I think without the MVP pressure on him this year, I think he's been even better. I think he's better without the attention, right? That Mr. Irrelevant thing, maybe there's something to it. They're just kind of lunch paling it, and all of a sudden it's like no one's paying attention to how good the 49ers are. They're excellent. Yeah, I love that pick also.
Yeah. This is why Connor's such a psycho, because McCaffrey was awesome on Sunday. Connor still cashed under 14.5 carries because...
Oh, I was over the 94 combined yards.
Yeah, I know, because that was a good play, and anyone, it just... Again, it breaks my brain. Like my brain would never go to McCaffrey under 14.5 carries. I understood the process, but my brain does not go there. And when I see it sometimes, I'm like, oh, it rejects it.
Really,
it's great. I needed to luck box into that one because I lost like 2 or 3 heartbreakers. Kendrick Bourne didn't play a snap, so my under didn't count on that. And I under three catches. Yeah, and I was at the game, and Buddy's just on the sideline dancing around, like high-fiving teammates. I'm like, get your ass in there, man. Like, what are we doing? Though. Just one snap.
That's a good cap, though. That's a good cap. He had a line. So
it feels good. It's like kind of like the LCLV, losing closing line value. It's like you feel good about it. You got CLV. I mean, the play doesn't get much better, and still doesn't hit the bank accounts, unfortunately. So, But yeah, definitely ran pure on the McCaffrey under. Didn't run so pure in some other spots.
Yeah, I like it, Connor. I mean, Dre Greenlaw is back running on the sideline. I think we have Dre Greenlaw probably coming back sooner than later. A legit difference maker, one of the best coverage linebackers in the league. Hopefully he can come back and get up to speed. Devondre Campbell struggles in coverage, so I think that defense can only get better. And Malik Mustafa in the back end has been awesome for them. So yeah, I mean, there's all signs pointing up on the Niners side. I'm going to keep it going here. I typically don't go first, but because we're just talking the Bengals specifically on the team side, on the future level, there's a few different looks. I think Jamar Chase, because of the schedule that we just laid out, is very much a play for offensive player of the year at 7-1, even though that's shrunk significantly after, basically 264-3 on a primetime island game, but still 7-1 in that spot, I think is great. And then even though it's a little short on the defensive side, Trey Hendrickson for defensive player of the year is 12-1. If they are who we think they are, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to push. We know that basically we can cross a line through any defensive player that doesn't make the playoffs. So your other elite edge rushers, because this is kind of turned into a elite edge rusher award in a similar way to, again, unless you're historically breaking records with like interceptions or something like that, it is a edge rusher award. We can cross the line through Myles Garrett. We can cross the line through Micah Parsons. We can cross the line through Max Crosby. TJ Watt, currently your favorite. TJ Watt is awesome. Probably arguably a top 2-3 defensive player in the league. He is really hard to disguise. The opposing team knows that he's coming. He's getting chipped. PFF is starting to track this. He's getting chipped at like a 40% clip. No one else is even at 20. So he's just not getting any clean releases. His sack numbers are a little bit lower. His pressure rate's a little bit lower. They're going to probably make the playoffs because they just keep winning football games. But Trey Hendrickson is a one-man band in Cincinnati. And if they make the playoffs and he's at 11 sacks, he leads the league. If he starts pushing 18, 20 sacks as the only show in town on that defense, people like big round sack numbers. And look at these opponents we laid out here. Pittsburgh twice. Russ loves to take sacks. Dallas, whoever's going on there, those offensive tackles, Terrence Steele's been really bad this year, giving up a ton of pressure. They love to take sacks. At Tennessee, Will Levis, third in the league in pressure to sack rate. He almost 30%. He takes sacks. Jameis in Cleveland will take him too. The only one is Denver. Bo Nix is avoiding sacks, but for the most part, there is a real nice path to opponents here for Trey Hendrickson to start racking up some sacks. So 12-1, a little short for where I would want to be in mid-November in this award, but I think there's a path there that kind of correlates well with kind of the other angles there. So Trey Hendrickson at 12 is my favorite current look. You would be kind of sprinkling some like longer shots down the board, but I want to shoot at the top where, I think a legit out if this guy gets to 18, 20 sacks. So, Connor, what do you got? Anything on the team side that caught your eye? I mean, player side?
Yeah, player side. This markets get a little bit tough. I think I generally like to take advantage of certain like biases. And we've been talking about the Eagles stuff and buying low in them for the last couple of weeks. I think that window is kind of closed in a sense, and they got two big games coming up here. Obviously it's Commanders, and then they play the Ravens, which I think will determine a lot in the awards market for them. But for this week, I didn't plan this, and we didn't obviously talk about notes beforehand. Burrow plus 200 for most passing yards. I normally don't like hitting the top of the board in any of these markets, but there are three guys that are leading the league by 7 touchdown passes right now. That's Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Baker Mayfield. And I think that his price is like a derivative of all those three leading and not necessarily reflecting of future situations here, because Baker Mayfield has no one to throw to. If you gave me, what would you line Baker Mayfield versus Joe Burrow at the rest of the season? It should be Joe Burrow minus 300 basically for more passing touchdowns.
Sure.
So in my mind, Baker Mayfield is not even really a factor. So it's basically Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow rest of the season. Lamar Jackson is Derrick Henry. I think as it gets kind of later in the year, we're probably going to see again more and more Derrick Henry. The Bengals, their defense still, John touched on it, still uneven, I would say at best. And they have just Chase Brown basically right now. I think Khalil Herbert play maybe a little bit of factor, but they definitely don't have any Derrick Henry level running game here. So
playoff Lenny, right? Playoff Lenny's in for a visit.
I think they signed some other bum instead. They signed, I don't remember who it was. It was some other guy in the practice squad. Which is hilarious. But no, so yeah, I just think plus 200 for basically a 3-man race at this point. If they blow a 7 passing touchdown lead with a team that needs to throw basically leads the league in pass rate right now, I'd be pretty surprised. So I think plus 200 is not a bad number there.
Only one team has a pass rate over expectation above 3%, as the Bengals at like 6.5%. Like they are lapping the field in pass rate. So yeah, that's a good path there. John, what do you got on the player side?
Okay, I'm in the passing market too, but I'm going to go with yards. Again, I probably would have never looked at this if you didn't bring it up. So we're going to go passing yard leader. All right, how about Kirk Cousins is 7-1 right now. So Kirk Cousins 7-1. Right now, I would say he's the essential leader. Right, he's 36 yards off the lead right now. So 36 passing yards, that and $2 get you on the bus. It's a deadie. Okay, there are 4 quarterbacks above 25-50, which right now kind of just that little kind of delineator. You got Geno Smith 25-60, Kirk Cousins 26-34, Lamar 26-69, Burrow 26-72. They all have a bye. All right, so I was a little bit worried when I saw the Cousins bye. Even Geno is this weekend, Burrow is next weekend, Cousins is the one after. But regardless, everyone at the top is a bye. So I actually thought, just from reading enough of these lines, I don't know, given Atlanta's defense is kind of whack, they're on the fast track. So granted, it's been a little bit warmer just nationwide than we used to, but we know that can change in a blink. Like I'm in New York, it got really cold overnight. Like it dropped like 25 degrees. So another shot like that, all of a sudden it's cold. So we could get some fast track stuff. And Atlanta's got the Raiders 15, the Giants 16, Carolina 18, Washington 17. Even Washington's a bit of a shootout team, right? So I don't know. That I think is a bit of a misprice. The same way that you were lining up, I think that's a good way to do those exercises. When you say, well, if it's 1v1, it just feels like Cousins is in line to run with Lamar, who we know they're predicated on running, really. And, Burrow is the other main problem, but 7-1 doesn't feel like that's priced correctly. So I'm going to go Cousins 7-1 to lead the league in passing.
Yeah, I like it with Drake London healthy when that came back. That scare is over. They're utilizing Bijan in the passing game a whole lot more, too.
Superstar Mooney.
Awesome. Yeah, Mooney's been awesome this year.
Who saw that coming, man?
Yeah. Jeez. It was free all off season.
Chicago, that's for sure.
Outrageous Chicago. Yeah, dude. Yeah, malpractice. It sucks. It was right under your nose. Yeah. Good call out.
No, I like it. 7-1. That's a good look. That's a good look for sure. All right, I guess killed that section. Let's jump into some games. Let's start with we got some good ones this week. Good guess, good games. Baltimore on the road in Pittsburgh, and that's your traditional bruising AFC North with the way that these teams are playing right now. Let's see where we're at in the market. We're basically Baltimore -3. It's a great spot, Connor, to talk about Profit X, because I'm excited about this for people that are not familiar with Profit X. It is if you're not familiar with an exchange, exchanges are really popular in Europe. It's basically a peer-to-peer user can set the price and compete against other users, and you get a massively discounted line compared to the VIG that you'd have to pay at a sports book. They basically take 3% from net winnings instead of like the 10-20% juice on a standard line. Connor, you want to pull up the screen, share some you got it up here already. Yeah, talk to us about Profit.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, we're going through these games here. Like, we genuinely believe you're getting better lines basically everywhere here. I mean, we're going to talk about, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. You can get +3 right now on the Steelers at +110. Now, there's not a ton of liquidity there right now, but there's no limits necessarily on most of it. So as long as there's anyone willing to back at that price, you can play it. So literally what's crazy too, this is available in 42 states. So, I mean, we're just, we're going to cite these lines a bunch now going forward. I mean, it's something that we kind of didn't realize even existed until recently. And then we do have a partnership with them for you guys to get some promo money here. It's like code BetSperts is the new user code. You can get up to $300 over the next 30 days. I think it's like a playthrough, promo there. So as you play, you get more money back. But I mean, the exchanges, they don't charge like VIG -110. It's like 2% or something like crazy low. So just play around with this. They have props too. But yeah, I think it's pretty sweet platform. Pretty excited about it, and we'll be chatting about it more on the show just to get you guys more familiar. And it's something that we actually are going to be using ourselves. So we believe in this product.
Yeah, Profit X is around a little bit ago. If people are familiar, but like a single state basically. They've come back and kind of rebranded and They found a way to get themselves access to 42 states now. The ability to not have limits is great because they don't give a rip who wins. The tag of losers pay winners is basically how this works. They're taking, again, a smaller cut off the top for your winners. Again, better than anything you'd pay juice wise. So again, you don't like a price, you want to kind of set your own line, you could do that. And just all you need is someone else taking the other side of it. So we're really excited about ProfitX. I think these exchanges are really the future of it. You can see here, you can mess around, grab 2.5s, 3.5s, right? Just all you need is someone on the other side to come in and grab some of it. So it's liquid. It's awesome, John. I can see your face. You're excited about it.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, it's all
43 states.
That's not. I do not Brian. I don't know. Not that I have to disclose stuff. I am a non-paid, participant here. They've not given me a cent for this. That's like future of gaming type stuff.
Correct. Peer-to-peer is it, man. Like, especially on sides and totals. Like
it's so critical. It's so critical.
Oh,
and you know me, the first thing I'm thinking is those team totals, man. Gosh, getting that point is such a big deal. Don't get me wrong. There's something to be said for 5 cents, 10 cents on the spread and how that plays out over time. There's no arguing that. But like, to the most micro viewpoint, getting a half a point on a total is like, it's absurd. Wow.
It's massive. Yeah. So
yeah.
You just get in. All you need is someone on the other side to scoop it. Get in there early, post some stuff, and see what happens. People can partially match your bets. So, like, say you post for a couple bills, someone wants to come in and just grab part of it. That's fine.
Really?
They get the part of it. Yeah. Then the other part hangs out there for other people to grab. So you don't need anyone to even match your full stake if you want to get down and take a whale position on something.
Really, you could just put what you're willing, and it either gets eaten in. Wow, that's fantastic. That really is fantastic.
I mean, like Connor said, it's just like, we have a lot of partnerships. We share a lot of things. This product is something that we definitely believe in and will be using. And it's exciting. You have to buy, it's a sweepstakes loophole. So you have to basically buy ProfitX Cash, which is a 1-for-1 USD coin.
Right.
Trades right back into USD. There's no loopholes. They're not taking any fees for anything like that. There's no funny business there. It's just the way it works with coins.
Yeah, right. Well, they have to be the intermediate,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I'm looking at these. You can't. Of course, I'm always thinking about standard lines should just come down to price. Where this kind of separates itself is the ability to get the alt total at a much better price. Generally, books they hammer the snot out of these alt lines. Like, I don't mean, again, you were hurt. I didn't mean to trash against the spread. I guess there are people that make a lot of money against it. It's a very short market. It's very difficult. With the ability to move at a point without sacrificing that same price.
Correct.
That's a window of opportunity that you really can't find much else.
No, I mean, you're moving under. I mean, this game total is at 48, right? And that's 47.5. There's one, but you're paying the price on it. Those are key numbers on the total side. You can see here, you can get under. You can get down to 46.5, and you're basically paying the same price that you're paying for 48.5 or 48 in other spots. So it matters a ton. Yeah, it matters a ton. Ridiculous. So we're excited about this. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. Again, there's an app. You can go to profitx.co, web-based. Again, if you have questions, let us know about again, company name BetSperts, BETSPERTS. I'll get you a $300 bonus there to play through. Great way to check it out and get best prices there. Back to the game here.
Send me a link. Man.
Yeah, for sure.
My vision's not great. If I really wanted to read that whole thing, I would have been like up on the screen, just squinting the hell out of it. So I want to go dig into that properly. Well, I do. Listen, I have these bets are coming up this weekend. Like, I'm not going to be that out. We hear people all the time. It's funny to me. At first, it sounded kind of cheesy, but it's one of the truths right now. As these companies are competing for your business, listen to them. Listen to them. I know it can be a saturation. When there are promos, there are offers, competition is healthy. Competition generally, benefits the consumer, which is a good thing. I know 100%. For extra work, the average American hears a little extra work and like brain power, and all of a sudden they're like turn off. But
no, 1,000%. And then peer-to-peer is really, I think, what we've all been wanting and hoping for at a certain point, right? Like anything that can reduce the price and just have someone grabbing the other side. And it's just like, hey, I like this side, you like that side. Why don't we bet it in a safe, regulated way versus, having to Venmo each other cash. We could have someone kind of regulate it. You could do this all over the place. Just have someone scoop your action. So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Stoked for it. All right. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. I went on Ed Fang's show last week and made a case for Pittsburgh to miss the playoffs. That didn't work because they continue to win football games. Won again in DC. I've struggled to move off my priors with this team, Connor. I'm still not sure that they're very good, but it's hard to argue against how they're playing. Russ, without a doubt, is balling out here. Talk to me about Ravens Steelers.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh kind of proved last week that if they fall behind, they can kind of figure things out. They fell behind by 10, climbed back, but it wasn't through passing the ball a ton. It was just weird, inefficient running, and they did have a couple of big plays. Still only 28 pass attempts. Kind of has me worried here a little bit because we know they're going to go run heavy. The Ravens run defense is elite in basically every metric that you want to look at. And the Steelers are just going to do that anyways. It seems like I doubt they're going to go pass heavy here, which is the Ravens, weakness right now. Their secondary hasn't really been playing all that well. And we've seen them struggle at times against teams that are able to pass the ball. So that for me is a big issue. And then Lamar Jackson, just been absolutely cooking right now, through the air. Deontay Johnson probably playing a lot more this week, they said. Keaton Mitchell still getting healthier. He's probably more of a change of pace guy, but he's, absolutely electric when he's fully healthy. This offense that has already been really good is somehow trending up even more, which is pretty crazy to say. So I want to buy into Baltimore here. The spread's 3. Pittsburgh has continuously proven me wrong, but I can't get away from Baltimore being the significantly better side here.
Connor's saying there, John, is I think it's important. Pittsburgh minus 8.6% pass rate over expectation, second lowest in the league. They love to run the football. How much do they deviate from that against the Ravens, where we know that you can go at them, you can throw these moon balls with success, and that's kind of what Russ does well here. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, to me, that's the story on the Ravens side. Listen, I love Lamar. They look great. We're finally seeing the kind of monk and stuff we were hoping for. The defensive side is kind of a mess. Again, you're really more of the expert here, but from the tape and the studying I've done, we know we generally don't want to be on the outliers. And you get a ton of that. You get a ton of that from Baltimore. Listen, we know when you have the interior D to stop the run and the prolific offense, you kind of have a tendency to turn yourself into a pass funnel. That's understood. So when you're looking at it through that lens, you have to be careful of totals, right? A team that's a pass funnel will allow a lot of completions. They may even allow a lot of yards, right? That's kind of a thing. My problem here is it's beyond that. It's the frequency stuff. Baltimore, bottom 5 in EPA per dropback, 102 opposer passer rating, more than 12 yards per reception. They're dead last in 20-yard completions. That number's at 47. 22 passing touchdowns. And then to the sack, right? Are they bottom 3 in sack rate, bottom 3 in EPA against the slot? So you see a lot of this. There's no pressure. They're playing a lot of preventative stuff, but you need to be able to cover underneath. You can't just say we're going to drop back. So what the Ravens are kind of admitting to us stylistically is they're going to outscore everybody. Does that work? Listen, when you have Lamar Jackson, yes, it works a lot of the time. Yeah. The thing is, this Steeler defense is pretty legit. And I like the last part with the Steeler offense would be, for me, listen, Wilson is not going to be a game breaker. He is a stabilizing force. I think you have to keep in mind they scored 26 points in each of the last 3, something that we did once with Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. Not to get my leather helmet out, but the rush rate is sustainable even in today's game. When you're able to complement it with the play action pass the way they do, I think they're at a 35% play action rate with Wilson. Again, people, you got to be careful. Season-long stats, not really worth much when we're talking about the disparity in style between Wilson and Fields. So you're looking at that, we're seeing, again, this kind of boomer ball. Dude, Tomlin is in all his glory right now. Because, again, when if you're going to allow him to isolate these advantageous matchups on the outside, he's happy to smash the ball into for 3.5. And a cloud of dust over and over again, because you'll get the leak routes with Warren while he's setting up those play action balls. I'm actually surprised. I think Pittsburgh could win this one outright, and I definitely think I like the 3.5. I've been really reticent on the against the spread, like I mentioned. I'd probably just bet Pittsburgh to go over 21 points or 22 and call it a day there. Baltimore is not stopping anybody.
Yeah, that's a problem. And Kyle Hamilton, we're getting Wednesday as we record, sprained ankle, missed a good chunk of that game on last week against the Bengals. So interested to see his status this week because that matters quite a bit because the rest of the guys in the back half, they have not trusted. They pulled and straight up benched Marcus Williams a couple games ago, had to force him back in. They benched Eddie Jackson last week. It didn't play him. So now they might have a scenario where they have to play both their starting safeties are going to be guys that they've benched within the last 3 weeks entirely for a game. So I think my favorite play is just George Pickens' longest reception over in this game. Feels like I don't even know how high you make it for me where I'm like, nah, I don't know.
It's not listed. What would you have to say? 23 and a half, maybe? Like
they've been bumping him up. He was routinely 21 and a half. Last week he was 25 and a half and he cooked it.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot, man.
It's a lot, but he went over.
That's a lot. Oh,
a lot. Yep.
Would you go 26? I don't know if I go 26, man.
I know I didn't take it last week, but I sure wanted to.
Also, I think you're going to have a pathway to, it's not posted yet, probably Freiermuth receptions, total receptions, right? Because again, you could lean into those stylistics from Baltimore all the time. I mean, they literally telegraph it again. 25. If you're going to combine 25% too high with 25% man, it means there is a lot of overlap with man press underneath, too high up top. You leave the middle open. That's why that completion rate is spiked over the middle against the Ravens. I mean, again, it's very elementary, which shouldn't be the case because this is where coaches are supposed to step in. And when it's like, well, I got this like fat blowhard over here, like telling me what I'm going to do this weekend, I probably should adjust and go another direction. They haven't done that yet. So I'd be looking for, again, long Pickens, Freiermuth receptions, and then Pittsburgh to go to 21 points.
And the loss of Hamilton would definitely impact the Freiermuth play as well. That would be a helpful angle there too, for sure.
Yeah. Anything underneath. Yeah. I think they get it anyway, but yeah, I'm with you for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that news here. Obviously, he's impactful. Next is team we spent a lot of time talking about here in the future section. The Bengals are on the road in LA against the Chargers. This game got booted to the Sunday night spot, which is awesome. Chargers 1.5 point favorites, basically across the board. Total 47.5, 48. Shop that around again. Just go to Profit X and get a cheaper number for sure. You can probably get 46.5 for a decent price too. That'd be the right side if you wanted to chase the over or bump it all the way up to 48.5, 49 if you want here. We expected Harbaugh to coach his face off, John. That's what he's about. It's what he's always done. I think they have exceeded expectations a little bit. Herbert's playing good ball though. They've been letting him cook. We've seen a spike in pass rate over expectation from them. As of late, they went super heavy last week against Tennessee and ran the ball. But again, the fact that they're one of these teams that I find I am really bullish on them long-term. They're harder to handicap because what they do schematically on both sides of the ball changes a ton. They've started to really shift defensively as well. They're starting to use a lot of single linebacker and base hybrid nickel 3 safety stuff where they're, where they're using a lot of like Derwin James up in the box instead of using a couple of backers. It's, again, I like teams that are dynamic based off of what their opponents are telling them versus this is what we do and this is how we're going to, beat you. That doesn't always work when you get to playoff level stuff. So I'm excited about this game. I think it's a good one to be flexed here. Bengals, Chargers. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I hate taking L's, man, because sometimes they're so obvious. Like I hate taking procedural L's. You mentioned it. What do I think is important? Like you pull the 12 gauge on me, John, what's important? I would say probably the mind meld between quality quarterbacking and good coaching. And that's here. And I short sold it even at a low bar. And that's where I made the mistake. I'm not saying everybody should have been bullish with the information we had on the Chargers offense coming into the season. But given all the low bars, I should have been over it because they do the things I believe in. The thing that's kind of caught me, yeah, I've noticed this shift into that very heavy zone coverage the last month. Mm-hmm. But I'm worried about the run. I'm worried about the run game. Like what they came out, they were so explosive they weren't throwing. Astutely called out not just the uptick in the pass game, but also the quality as well. The thing that's really irked me, I mean, there is no denying right now the rush stuff the last month on the offensive side is just falling off the page. I mean, maybe we fell in love with Dobbins a little bit too soon. Now they're going to be hoping for like the Edwards revolver. Check it out, last 4 games, 3.7 yards per rush, just 1 yard before contact per rush, a 33% success rate, and only 5% explosive rush rate. Those are all like in the bottom 5. It's going to be very hard. It's very hard to get it done like that, right? We mentioned Cincy. Where do we bucket the Chargers, right? If my theory of the case was, well, Bengals get it done against kind of bad offenses, I don't know where to put the Chargers. So I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. Sometimes I say the best lean is up against a wall with your money safely in your wallet. So I'm going to kind of take the back door on this one. But that would be my question for you guys, right? If we believe that the Chargers are a good offense and maybe they handle the Bengals, if we don't think they're a good offense, they've struggled to stop the run as well. If they have to sacrifice with the man up, they're going to get beat long. So I don't know. You can see this going anyway.
Yeah, Connor, I've pushed back a little bit on the Chargers. Defensively, the last couple of weeks, just in terms of I think where their metrics are versus what I think the actual unit is, and you've seen it in terms of DVOA tracks strength of schedule against. They've played the easiest strength of schedule on the defensive side, so like the quality of offensive opponents have been below average. Since he is not that, we have to see if we have Orlando Brown, if we have T. Higgins in this matchup, but still healthy Burrow can do a lot of things here. I know we've been looking at I've been waiting for Dobbins unders from you because it does feel like he's kind of fallen off a cliff, and now maybe we missed the mark now that Gus Bus got in. But what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I had it written down last week, and I'm a coward. I didn't play it. I just couldn't believe it. This game in particular is really interesting because the Bengals defense has not really played all that well, and I like run defense or pass defense, and I think that that's an issue because the Chargers haven't been able to run the ball at all. Again, like you guys mentioned, for the last month-ish. I mean, it's almost like a guy coming off Achilles is not going to last an entire season seeing 15 to 20 carries. Yeah, who could have thought that, right? But now we're at this point. Gus Edwards came back, played pretty well, and I think against Cincy, they basically let everyone run on them, for the most part. And the offense, then the Chargers kind of instead of sticking their head into the ground and just being okay, we're just only going to run the ball no matter what, they skewed more pass heavy. And that's, I think, is actually going to help them open up the run a little bit more even in some ways. So I have no concerns about the Chargers moving the ball here and scoring on the Bengals. I think my biggest questions come into the Bengals side here where is Chase Brown going to be, basically just be awesome again in the running game? And if he can't, then it just makes the Bengals very one-dimensional, which can be fine. Joe Burrow can lead 40 points. That's totally fine. But this Chargers defense is continuously, again, outperformed what we expect for them. Now, the scheduling bit you mentioned is pretty important, I think. But how much is that coming to play? Are the Chargers just an average defense? Are they a fringe top 10 defense? Or are they because right now their metrics say that they're a top 2 defense, basically, which is probably not true. But where are they actually on that list? I'm pretty confident the Bengals are a bad defense on the other side and a good offense, whereas the Chargers, again, simplistically, are a pretty good offense and I think a pretty good defense. So I'm just curious to see how that plays out. If I had to pick a line, I'd probably actually pick the Chargers at -1.5, -103 only on Profit X. I think it's kind of interesting. I know we are buying Bengals in the future, but I don't know. I kind of like the Chargers. The Chargers has got that Tomlin Steelers vibe where they're gritty, they win games, and they find unique ways to do it. Like Jesse Minter, like you mentioned, a little bit more, multi-dimensional, I think, proving to have learned a lot. I don't know. It's just good coaching. It's kind of fun.
It is. I love that. I feel bullish about an organization when that's what we see, right? It's not here's what we do every week. This is what we play. It's no, we're going to adapt. You're we saw this 3-week spike in pass rate. And then last week against Tennessee, they're we're just we're gonna run the ball all game long because you're gonna make you stop it and you can't. So the adaptability piece I'm always really encouraged by because it just makes me think that the coaches are thinking thoughtfully through the game plan and considering who's across from them, which I think matters a lot. Bengals are in a good spot for a tease if that's your thing. 1.5, we can go through the 3 and the 7. You can get them on the other side at 8.5. That's or 7.5. That's appealing to me. But straight up, I'm probably gonna just watch it. I'll probably bet Diane Henley over 8.5 tackles in that game because he's a baller. So but that's probably it for me in that spot. Next, bell of the ball probably. KC on the road in Buffalo. This was KC -1 in the look ahead window. Reopened on Sunday night. Buffalo -1. Early actions pushed it out to 2.5. Basically where we're at across the board. 45.5. 46 is the total. So kind of dancing around some key numbers there, if that's your thing there too. Again, these teams have given us some of the best football games on earth over the last 4 or 5 years, which is going to happen when we have this matchup at quarterback, which is fantastic. John, what do we do here? We have the very easy handicap, and you just go, All right, you give me Patrick Mahomes in points. 12-1-1 all time against the spread as a dog. Was in the spot last year. Everyone keeps telling us that, and then it's the 2.5s basically aren't there. We have a couple twos out there, but like it's still holding out pretty strong. Thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, I think Buffalo is probably the better team coming in. I'd like to know if Cooper is going to play or not.
Yeah.
He got practice in a limited fashion today. I just checked that report. That, again, does not mean much right now. And this is my argument for Buffalo. And it's really predicated on Cooper, but it's without him needing to be this like superstar wide receiver one. The thing with Buffalo is they have the ability to beat you in a number of ways. And again, when you have Josh Allen being able to go hero ball, listen, that's part of it. So what? You have to deal with that. That's part of it, right? He lowers his shoulder and starts helicopter diving everywhere. You have to deal with him. He's very hard to stop 3 times for 10 yards, bottom line. The thing with Cooper is he fits so perfectly into that X1 kind of wide receiver 1X archetype that they need, which then pushes everyone back down the line. Where if you tell me, like, it's so, Coleman 1, Shakir 2 is trash. But Cooper 1 is like, oh, Cooper's a legit 1. Oh, wow, now Keon Coleman is like a legit flanking number 2. And all of a sudden, that makes Shakir like a top-tier underneath slot guy, which takes enough attention with James Cook in the backfield off of Kincaid, who is kind of a flawed player, but will operate in space. And all of a sudden, for me, Cooper just everything down the line, like butterfly effect. Boom, 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 boom. For me, I was like, oh, man, arrows up for Buffalo. Cooper goes down for 2 games. What is Allen's response? Oh, who cares? 30 points. So,
yeah,
I think this Chiefs team is a bit over their skis. I think the streak comes to an end this time. But to your point with Mahomes and the points, who's to say it's not a 1-point game, right? I'm just stammering and mumbling and stumbling there.
They find a way.
I know. Oh, man, dude. Half of my remaining survivor pool had the Chiefs last weekend. And me and my kids were just puking because we went from like, we're going to Disneyland to like, we could watch videos on YouTube of Disneyland.
Yeah, maybe Disneyland or,
we can watch Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus.
Yeah. We went from Disneyland to Disney Plus. That's good.
Oh, Connor, this is going to be a good one. This is maybe one of those games we've talked about a few times this year. We're like, man, if we weren't in the space. We just like ball, just turn this game on Sunday and be like, yeah, let's let it go. Get some wings. You get a fucking shit ton of ranch. You can have yourself a field day because I know you love that stuff. But no, we have to actually handicap it. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, the more ranch, the better, baby. No, but I think that this is
it's nasty.
This one is funny because you mentioned it actually, and this actually stuck in my mind too. It was like Mahomes is a dog against Buffalo. Like, why isn't that an auto bet? Guess what? In the regular season, his record is against Buffalo. I would not have guessed this. It's 1-3. 1-3 in the regular season, 3-0 in the postseason, and that's why it sticks in our minds. Is because in the most impactful moments, he gets it done in the playoffs, and they've always found a way to get it done. In the regular season, literally 1-3. I'm like, look at this. I'm like, is this right? Like, look through all the game logs. I'm like, all right, well,
right now I'm thinking, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Very strange. But that being said, like for my actual game handicap itself, I worry a little bit about this Buffalo offense if they don't have Amari Cooper. John already talked about the importance of that, and that's because the Chiefs' run defense has been awesome, like really, really, really good. And we know that Buffalo, like a couple of other teams that we see, like loves to lean on their running game, and like it allows Josh Allen to not have to do Josh Allen things, which can present some highs, could also present some pretty wild lows from time to time. And I think they like to eliminate that. But against the Chiefs, like I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball consistently and well enough. Chiefs allowing, I think it's like 3rd in rushing success rate, 3 yards per carry to opposing running backs. So again, like it's not that the Bills can't succeed. They can, but go pass heavy here. But Kincaid is TBD. Again, like there are some questions with this pass catching group. If it's just Khalil Shakir out there, I mean, I that's tough for me, again, like, and then so on the other side of the ball, I think that the Chiefs probably have success passing the ball. DeAndre Hopkins is kind of finding his way. Travis Kelce, again, is just like basically a chain moving at this point. And then Xavier Worthy continues to not really earn targets, but be a viable piece of like stretching downfield. So like, I guess I have to bet I like the Chiefs here. Like I have to bet them, I think, based on my game analysis, but like, more than just a simplistic, like bet Mahomes is a dog. Like, I don't know. I think the Chiefs are probably the right side, at least for me.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is tough. It's a tough one. Because again, either way, you're also betting against Josh Allen or Mahomes either way. And that's both of those are terrifying situations because they are, probably the two best in the game at the most important position. So, I'm going to do my best to get a lot of other late window action and maybe just try to fanboy this one. There definitely will be some angles to be had in the prop streets for sure. And again, as you guys both touched on, injury piece here is pretty massive in terms of, what happens with Cooper, what's up with, Dalton Kincaid, all those things matter a ton. All right. We'll talk quickly about the Thursday night one, put it in the back, in case we're, terribly off on our handicap. No one has to, slide through it. They can just, skip this here. You listen to this on Friday. Whatever we're about to say is what happens. So you don't have to worry about it. Let's talk here about the Commanders and Eagles. Eagles 3.5-point favorites. 40.5 is the total for the most part. Again, Profit X, great prices, especially if you like that total. Saving a ton of money there. Good stuff. I mean, we've touched on the Commanders, and Connor, you went out, decided you wanted to tweet, talk shit about the Commanders and their strength of schedule. And, the commies came at you real hard, pushing back. Yep. But it's true. They haven't whooped up on anybody really good. And it doesn't mean that they're not a good football team, but a challenge here. And what's really impactful with kind of what's going on with Dallas, we know where the Giants' lot in life is. Unfortunately, this is kind of a really important divisional game at this point. Two of these meetings still to go here on Commanders and Eagles. So what are your thoughts here, Connor?
It's one of those matchups that obviously I think dictates, the division going forward. Interestingly, on the Washington defensive side, they've done a better job of getting pressure, which has impacted Jalen Hurts a lot, again, throughout the season. But
Dante Fowler was a top 3 pick and nothing for like a decade and is absolutely in his bag. He's got like 9 sacks, a ton of price. He's playing like 40% of the snaps, and the guy is like second in the league in snaps. Late bloomer. You waited until he's, in his 30s to start actually getting it done. It's crazy.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, it's one of those things where, it's like he, I don't know. Like, I think that they should be able to shred the man defense. Though that's the other like kind of component is like AJ Brown against man is, I mean, that's pretty nice. And I think that Saquon has a ton of success on the ground. Our guy Stu Monotone put that out. Saquon rushing over yards. So like I expect Philly to control the game offensively, to be able to take big shots deep. It's not going to always be pretty with the pressure Washington brings. And then on the other side, this Philly defense, I mean, they played against a lot of bad teams, but they played pretty well against Cincy. Like since the bye, they've just been playing like lockdown D. Run defense has been great. Pass defense has been great. And again, the Commanders have played against the Bears and the Steelers. Jay Daniels in those games, 53 and 50% completion rate. He's still good. He's still playing awesome. Don't clip me on that. He's playing well. But yeah, I mean, I just worry. So give me the Eagles in this spot here.
Yeah. Where you at here, John?
Yeah, same. Right now, it's I have Eagles kind of nose to nose with Detroit for best teams in the league right now. Philly 5 in a row off the bye. That really hit it right, just the right. Sometimes the bye is perfectly timed for teams. They were injured in the wide receiver room. Even, I hate it because it was unreported. I can't speak from the tape alone. Hurts looked like he was missing a step in the beginning of the year. It just didn't look. I was not the only person to call this out. They were talking about it in the broadcast. People were talking about it on Twitter. He looked like he was missing a little bit. We were getting worried if maybe in the fantasy streets, if maybe the rushing game was going to take a big notch down. That bye came, man, they went wheels up. But it's also really the defense has gone ballistic. And remember, the Bengals are in there too. So, there's always the question of competition when you look at last 4, Giants, Bengals, Jacksonville, Dallas. So there is a weak spot. Again, the Bengals good, but they're doing everything right now. I mean, the tackling is insane. The rush defense has been insane. They're covering. They're really doing everything. They're getting pressure without blitzing. Also something that I think it's funny, if you don't have the expertise that Ryan has with the defense, sometimes we can make deductions from that, right? If you get a lot of pressure without sending the blitz, you get an idea of interior pressure, right? Of havoc being created. And that's really a good sign for a defense to get pressure without sending extra men. Again, to get the 9.5% sack rate on the year with only a 13% blitz rate. They're probably one of the only teams to be able to see that. Washington, I think you nailed it, Connor, man. It's competition based. Jaden Daniels is excellent. He's going to be even better than that. But right now, hashtag NFL is very hard. The longer this goes for him, the harder it gets because the more the book is out. So when he faces these really good defenses, I think that's where the bottom could get exposed. Again, Washington with a rookie QB is not a 30-point team. That's fine. You know that's like a normal thing. Rookies don't normally captain 30-point offenses. Right. So we should have known that was a bit over skis, but again, the potential is arrow up. I think Washington meets its match, though I will be watching for the defense. You mentioned our boy Stewie, my guy, if Monotone, if you're listening, I love you, man. That's where I think this game is going to be told in the trenches, where the Philly defense has been great in the interior, stopping the run, something Washington needs to do to succeed. The Washington run defense has been very bad. Success rate, yards per rush, before and after contact per rush, plus the double-digit explosive rush rate allowed. That defensive unit against the rush, probably bottom 5. So I think Barkley goes nuts, and I think Philadelphia gets it done.
Yeah, they lost Jonathan Allen, and that hurt, and it will start to add up a little bit. Maybe Bobby Wagner finally losing a little bit of that first step, and it could be impactful too. But yeah, I would lean Eagles here as well. I don't have a current position, but I like Stu's look going back to the well on Saquon. I think can definitely cook here. Yeah, but I think it's going to be an interesting football game. It matters a ton. So also, we've had some stingers in the Island game, so nice getting an important divisional game in that window here with the Commanders and Eagles. So. Love it, man. John, you are a rock star. Again, so appreciate your time. Again, screw that commercial. You're an actual rock star. Billy Idol is not popping up here. You're a rock star. Tell everyone where they can find all your stuff.
I'm doing the lip for people in case you didn't know. Mo. Thank you so much. You follow me at John Legeza, JOHNLAGHEZZA. I do the speculator column for The Athletic. I write the daily betting newsletter for Matthew Berry. And then you can check out my Substack. I have just a lot of data. It's very hard to find this stuff formatted, conditionally formatted and easily digestible all in one spot. So I just normally tell people, listen, man, it's $2 a week because I know I can't compete with all the big boys, but man, how much time of yours is worth $2 a week? That's what I tell people. If you spend any amount of time in this at all, being able to, again, we were talking about streamlining data, becoming efficient, that stuff matters. Okay. That stuff matters whether you get it from me or anywhere else. That stuff matters. So guys, thank you so much, man. That was just an absolute blast. I hope I didn't chew your ears off too much.
I love it. No, you killed it. It's awesome. Everyone check that out. Go to find John on Twitter, find that Substack again, $2, make that, succinct your process. Again, it's nice, easy, digestible, does baseball too. So if you're grinding base, I mean, dude, I'm out of those streets, but I know
maniac, right?
without a doubt that no one's in the space is.
No, the baseball stuff. Nobody can talk about baseball stuff. No.
Yeah, dude, John does not mess around. So check that out. Find him on Twitter and check out that stuff. So come back on Friday, hang out with Connor, myself, John Hyslop. Check out Profit X. Again, BetSperts is the promo code. Check that out. Reach out if you have any questions. We'll take care of it for you there. So for Connor and John, I'm Ryan. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks, everybody.